Yo, yo, yo. Hey, Tom, this is not the smartest person in the room. How's everybody doing today?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Tom, these summer hours, I'm starting to miss your, what do they call that when somebody's, your disposition.
My disposition.
Yeah, your grumpy disposition.
I don't see. That's funny because, like, I mean, I get it. I can be a little bit cynical. I'll own that. I'll own that. But I don't think I'm as grumpy as I've often been accused of being. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm. I don't know. Maybe I'm serious sometimes, but I'm not like not constantly grumpy. I'm not like get off my lawn.
Maybe we're baiting you or pigeonholing you into like once you get with your buddies or your wife, you're probably the most zany guy around and doing stunts and bits and things like that for the family.
To be fair, I don't think anybody has ever characterized me as zany. That's probably a step too far in the other direction. Like the pendulum is probably swinging a little bit kind of closer to the middle between those two extremes. But yeah, I mean, I will commit to a bit. I will commit to a bit, but it's not like a zany bit. Like it'll be funny, but it's not zany.
Yeah, I'm not zany. My buddy Dave, I got a buddy from Bikes and Hikes. He always wants to do a bit that's like zany. I'm like, I'm not zany. I'm not zany. I'm not an actor. So this is not going to go well when I start, playing whatever ploy. But anyway, okay, this is not the first guys in the room. We are talking about audience. We're talking about audience and client experience. I say it matters. This was Tom's idea. So is this, Tom, what you're saying, audience or client experience? Tell me what you mean by that. I'll give you my thoughts and let's hear from some other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suggested this because I put up a post the other day talking about sort of, client experience, right? Customer service, often how a lot of people talk about this concept or this idea, but I think it extends beyond customer service. I think it goes to the experience that you create, the feeling that you leave, not just your customers with, but your audience more broadly. And I'll give I'll tell the quick story that sort of brought to the front of mind for me, and we can kind of go from there, I think. But I wear this hat all the time, right? Everybody recognizes this hat. Everybody who sees me on a regular basis expects me to be wearing this hat. For anybody watching this on the live stream, anybody that's met me in person, I likely had this hat on, right? So it has kind of become part of my look, right? To always have this hat on. So this hat's it's a flat brim hat, right? It's made by a company called Melon, Melin, right? Obviously, they named it Melon as a sort of a play on words, i.e., you put a hat on your melon, aka your head. So anyway, that's my guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just somebody's name and a happy coincidence. But regardless, that has nothing to do with the story. Tangent over. The point of the story is that this is not the first Talex hat that I had from Melon. The first one that I had, I wore for a few years. They ended up developing some staining over time from use, right? And I think anybody who wears a hat on a daily basis or on a regular basis over a long period of time has kind of like had that happen. You get a little staining around like sort of where the brim meets the top of the hat and stuff. And so I looked up on their website. They had cleaning instructions. I followed cleaning instructions. I washed it several times. The staining didn't go away. And so I emailed their customer service and I said, hey, I followed your cleaning instructions. I can't get the staining to go away. I don't know if you guys have another solution. I really like this hat. I want to fix it. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do to remedy this situation. The response I got from them was, thank you so much for reaching out. We're so glad that you love our hat and you wear it all the time. Sorry to hear about this problem you're having. Send us your address. We will send you a replacement hat. If you follow the cleaning instructions, there's really kind of nothing else to do. from our perspective. So it's stained, and we'll send you a new hat. No charge, like no concern, no shipping, nothing, no restocking fee, none of that stuff. Just, hey, thanks for being a great customer. We appreciate you. Here's a hat. Now, I will say this: these hats are not cheap, right? And part of that price point is the fact that they provide this level of customer service. That's part of what you're paying for. Is it the hats come with a lifetime guarantee? If the hat fails, if you don't like it, if there's a problem with it, if it's a snapback, if the snapback breaks or whatever, which I'm sure a lot of people have had that happen to a hat that they've owned, where like the little tabs in the snapback break off and it doesn't work anymore, etc. They'll just send you a new hat, right? That's part of what you're paying for. But it was the smoothest, easiest thing I've ever had happen. And then I went, so they said, go online, go to the website, tell us exactly which hat you want, and we'll send it to you. So I went on the website and I looked at a couple of different hats and I emailed them. I said, this is the one I want. I said, okay, great. We'll get it off to you right away. And then a couple hours later, something triggered in the back of my mind. And I was like, wait, did I send them the right color code? So I went back and I looked, and I had accidentally sent them the wrong color code. So I immediately emailed back and I said, hold on a second. So sorry. I sent you guys the wrong color code. This is actually the one I want. Well, it turned out they'd already processed the exchange or the replacement. It had already gone through their system and had gone to shipping. So they just sent me another replacement. So I ended up with 2 hats for no out-of-pocket expense, because their customer service was that good. They said, okay, you just keep the one we already sent you. Here's the correct one. And so I ended up with an extra hat, essentially, because I made a mistake, right? But they didn't go out on they didn't say, oh, you got to send it back or anything like that. My point of all of this is that at the end of the day, not only will I recommend to other people that they go to the higher price point and buy the hat, because it is a good hat. It's a good product. They fit well, they're comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. Not only will I recommend them because of quality of the product they sell, I will also recommend them because I know that their customer service is exceptional, and whatever happens, if I recommend them to somebody, they're going to come out of that with experience. And not only will I do that, not only am I now talking about this on our show on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room that is broadcast around the internet for all to see. So they're getting all this free advocacy for their brand from me. Not only that, but I have since gone back and bought an additional hat from them, right? So because I saw it, it popped up on my email, I liked it, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy that hat. And so I did. I bought that. And again, like, this is all because of that positive customer service experience, that positive experience that they left me with. Meant that I was going to not only advocate for their brand, but to also continue to support their brand by giving them my dollars. And that's what I think audience and customer or client experience should really be all about. Is again, surprise, surprise, I'm going to say it, leading with value, making sure that the customer or your audience leaves their interaction with you with a positive experience, such that they're likely to go out and tell their friends, tell their family, tell strangers on the internet, and support your brand at the same time. That is the power of that positive customer experience. At the end of the day, what did it cost them, right? Like, it cost them, I'm sure their markup on their hats is insane. These hats probably cost them $4 each or something, $3 each, right? Because of the volume that they buy them in. So, the hats cost them a couple of bucks, the shipping cost them a couple of bucks, and they got another sale, and they're probably going to get more sales because I and other people like me will talk about them on the internet and encourage their friends to support them. So that's the power of customer experience. And I think that's why it matters. And I wanted to tack on audience there too, because I think it starts before the purchase, right? That positive experience starts before the purchase and continues after. And or exists independent of a purchase. Even if I had never bought a hat, but I had heard this story, if I knew somebody who was looking for a hat, I might recommend Melon to them because I had heard this story. Even if I'd never bought one of their hats, never had one on my head, never even seen one in person, right? So anyway, that's where this all came from. I think really matters. It makes a huge difference for your brand or your business long term, and I think it's something that is absolutely at your within your capacity as a business or a brand to control, and then I think you should control. So that's the inspiration for this topic today, Dom.
All right, Tom, and I'm impressed by Melon. So, how do you spell Melon? Is it Mellon? What do they got on there?
Melin.
Melin. Yeah, it sounds like a good company and one that I believe in what you're saying. I hope as a business to lead with value in the content, give, and then once somebody is a client of mine, it is always under promise and over deliver. Like I live in the world of promising and over delivering, where even in contract language, sometimes people will ask a question and I'll say, "Oh yeah, we do all that. Here's documentation proving we do that. I just don't sell it like it's the greatest thing of all time. Somebody else is sitting on this one little note. Well, I'm doing all that for you, and I'm going to do 10 times more than that. And so later on, my hope is whatever the price is, whatever I charge, I'm hoping I'm giving double, triple, quadruple the value where they say, whatever this guy's charging, it was a no-brainer because he gave so much more value. So I see you smiling. What was the smile about there? You're just happy to see me again. Okay.
Just agreeing with you.
Okay,
Just agreeing with you. It's not always, there's not always a nefarious nefarious idea or plot or thought behind a smile. It's just agreeing.
Hey, again, the other day I was making clips. Dr. Tachi, I was making clips of Tom, and I made one of Dr. Tachi the other day. And again, he was eating an apple, and I'm like right at my point, and I hear crunch, 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 crunch. So now I'm gonna if I ever have if someday when I have a great point to make, I'm gonna watch and see wait, is Apple down for the next 2 minutes, Tom. So, okay, Dr. Tachi, go on. What do you got?
Well, I was just going to say two things. One, I will take a bite of something when I'm not talking, obviously, because I don't want to talk with my mouth full. So when you're talking is the perfect time for me to take a bite of something. I usually have myself, I'll try to be better about maybe muting myself.
Crunch.
But you should know that I am I'm eating some mango today, but mango's soft and quiet. There's no crunching, so we should be okay.
Crunchless. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, we are talking audience and client experience. This is not the smartest guy. Dr. Tachi, you want to talk about audience and client experience and how you add value, or you want to talk about Tom Crunch? What do you got for that?
Well, I didn't hear crunching during the paper at all. So, I guess you can quietly crunch. That's a good Tom. And it's season, so it's here anyway, mango season. So it's interesting that we're talking about eating mango. I love them, but stop short of getting a mango tree because there's no way you think that it produces. It's too much. I'm already dealing with the avocado tree. But anyway, enjoy your mangoes.
So hold on, Dr. Touch, you're telling me you have an avocado tree? Is that what you're saying?
I do.
And what kind of yield you getting off this avocado tree a year?
So, well, it doesn't always produce, which I'm glad for, because avocado trees get really big. And probably to control it, I probably should have put it down in a container. Of course, I put it around. Now it's a huge tree. And it can produce a lot, like bags and bags of avocados. So there are actually some places here that will accept mangoes and avocados because they'll use them in their cuisine. restaurants more so, or like bakeries and such.
That's fabulous. I have a buddy who has a lemon tree. He's out in California. He's got a lemon tree, avocado, and all these others. Like you're saying, there's lemons look like grapefruits are so big they just can't eat all the ones they produce. So, okay, what do you got here about audience and client experience, Dr. Tachi? So when they come to Dr. Tachi and they come to Media Scope, are they left feeling good, or how do you make sure they're not like, man, this Dr. Tachi, I don't know about her?
Maybe, I don't know, and I can't control how people feel about me. You don't like me, but I will say I adore this topic. I am all over customer experience, client experience, audience experience, because I know how I like to feel when I walk into a shop, when I go to somebody's live stream, when I attend an event. I like for care to be taken to make sure that I have a good time, that I enjoy myself, and that I feel acknowledged, right? So I try to do the same thing you guys already know. I try to make that experience great with live streams. Obviously, you can just do a regular stream. Nice. I like for it to be an experience. You get a pre-show with the intro. You get during. You get some nice graphics and some sounds, etc. And then I always wrap it up with a bow with the exit, right, with the outro. So I like that because I like to make sure that people feel, oh, that was good. That was worth my time. You know, I feel like that was a good thing to participate in. So I'm all over it, and I watch different industries and how they deal with customer and client experience. I went to a conference one time, and they were talking about, it was the was it the somebody from the Miami Heat? I can't remember, but they were with, or might have been Washington, with some basketball team. They talked about how they engage the what are they called? The patrons, right? The audience, whoever they are for sports, how they engage them. So everybody that goes to a basketball game may not necessarily be there for basketball. You may not be in it, and they realize that. Because there's so many people that go with a significant other or go with friends, but they don't care about basketball. So they have all these experiences that are going on during the game and pre-game, and then a little bit post, to engage people. So hey, you may not like this, but I have something for you. So that kind of almost there's something for everyone approach, which I really, so I try to incorporate a little bit of that when I'm doing things. There still might not be everything for you when you come, but at least you feel that I tried. So that's what I think.
Dr. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, as you started by saying there, Dr. Tachi, like, I can't control what other people think, right? Like, and absolutely, you're 100% spot on there. I mean, I think a lot of people get caught up trying to please everyone, and end up just kind of chasing their tail, right? Because it's an impossible task to succeed at. You cannot please everyone. Period. End of story. It's impossible. Stop trying to do it, right? But what you can do is you can work to provide a good experience for sort of your core audience, or for people who are most important to your brand, your business. And sometimes that's, like you said, sometimes that's the people who are there for basketball, but sometimes that's the people who are there for the event period, right? That aren't really basketball fans, that aren't necessarily there for the sport or for the love of the sport, but are there to be spectators, to be part of, the sort of social event that going to a game is or can be. And so you have to make sure that you construct an experience that delivers for those people as well. But again, I think the key difference there, and to kind of extend the metaphor, right, would be, you should be making content, you should be crafting an experience for the people in the stadium, right? People in the arena. You cannot craft it for people in the arena and everybody else outside of the arena. That's impossible, right, to be successful at. But you can craft a good experience for all the people show up at the arena for the game, right? And I think the other thing too that is really important to keep in mind for brands and businesses as you work towards, crafting this kind of experience is your audience isn't as big as you think it is, right? A lot of people get caught up in trying to make content or trying to bring in an audience of, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, etc. But if you're crafting an experience for your core audience and you look at sort of percentage-wise how many people in that core audience end up converting to customers or clients, right, who end up paying for your services or for your products, the numbers that you need are actually really small compared to the numbers you're probably aiming for. So that's the other thing too, is be a little bit more sort of realistic and pragmatic about the size of your audience and make sure you're creating content for that audience or creating an experience for that audience and not trying to create an experience for anybody and everybody. But yeah, so I think point well taken. Did you have something to add or were you just flashing there?
No, I did have something to add. For the love of God, and this actually bundles into this, I don't know why this app does not have a raise your hand emoji. That doesn't make any sense. So that goes to what I was about to say, that when we look at social platforms, for some people, social media is a joy to be on. They really love everything about the app, or most things, I should say, about the apps that they're using. But for so many people, it's necessary evil, and I'm there because I need to be there, because I enjoy being there. And in my opinion, part of that is because the customer experience is so distant on many of these apps. You can't, for customer service, that it's impossible to reach them, and they've automated everything and botized everything. It's not a word, but they botized everything, and so now you can't reach anyone. Now I understand that it's too difficult to individually reach out to folks. It's a lot when you have millions and millions. But at the same time, that erodes the experience when you can't reach someone, or they make features that you're like, who the hell asked for this? Did you do a survey to see who asked for this? So the experience on these apps has become necessary evil rather than I really enjoy being here. My time here feels good. And that I guess it's a catch-22 because you may enjoy what's on there, but you don't necessarily enjoy the path to get there with the app. So that's what I wanted to add.
Dr. Tachi, thank you so much. I see my friend Jeff saying we got some echo here on it. Makes me think it just maybe we do. I'm thinking about, like you just said, there's no raise your hand button on this app. Like I looked in there today and I said, there's no heart. I wonder heart. You and Tom were talking about no heart. Well, who decided if it's client experience? Like if it's client experience, who decided to turn that off? It's an interesting thing. Did they do a survey? I don't know. Why now? You were talking about the sports. I go to a Knicks game. I go to a Steeler game. Even if I take people that aren't a fan, if I go to a Pirate game, I'm wearing my Potato Pete shirt today. If you can see on the live stream, this is Potato Pete. During a Pirate game, at a certain inning, fifth inning, sixth inning, something like that, giant pierogi mascots come out on the field and they run, and they show them running across the back of the field. There's jalapeno Hannah, Potato Pete, Chester cheese, all these pierogies. The crowd goes nuts for these mascot pierogies racing. I see other places do sausages or presidents and things like that. So imagine they got all these people to the game. Not all the people love baseball. But if you can do other things to make that experience special for them, like food, like pierogies running around the stadium, like easier access to the bathroom, easier to clap or to heart or to raise your hand. All these things add value, make it the audience and client experience a little bit better. So today, after we switch out of this, one of the things we do here, we got a show and tell later on, but we know not everybody likes to hear me and Tom talk about business or media. Maybe they want to hear Tom's thoughts on other things. So we're rolling right into a Tom's Thumbs here. Okay, so Tom's Thumbs segment we do, if this is anybody's first time watching a live stream or anything like that. Tom's Thumbs. Tom says he's not cranky, but he could be. Tom says in the history, his friends used to try to work him up on purpose and get a rise out of him. I think that is fun as well. So in Tom's Thumbs, he has to give a thumbs up or down to something in pop culture. So I looked far and wide today, Tom, for this Tom's Thumbs, and I want to know what you think about the beautiful nuptials between Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez renting out Venice. I want to know what you think about it all. Is it a thumbs up or is it a thumbs down?
So Jeff Bezos, excuse me.
Here we go. He's worked up already. Oh, thumbs down. Already thumbs down.
Give me 1 second. I got something caught in my throat here.
Okay, he's got something caught in his throat. Eating on camera. At least he wasn't crunchy today because he's got a mango or a pineapple or a watermelon seed.
No, it was mango. It's mango with tahini on it, and I got a little pepper flake in my throat right as I was about to start talking. So, all right.
Okay,
Tom's
Thumb. What does Tom think about the nuptials, the renting of Venice between Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez? Go on, Tom.
All right, here we go. So, the nuptials, the spectacle, the event of the nuptials between Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, is that correct? Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, overall, the spectacle that they put on gets a giant double thumbs down from me. And I'll explain exactly why. For anyone who's seen the Hunger Games, this spectacle to me, and I haven't seen a lot of coverage of it. I've seen clips here and there because honestly, I would never spend any measurable amount of time on purpose pay attention to Jeff Bezos' personal life. It's like, who gives a shit? But I did see clips of their nuptials, and it reeked of sort of like in the Hunger Games, the people in the Capitol living to excess, having parties while other people around them suffer at the results of inequity, right? They suffer because they don't have enough to eat, or they're struggling to get by, or put a roof over their head, or kind of cover basic human necessities, right? The things that we sort of consider fundamental to living in a civilized society, right? Food and shelter, right? Healthcare, things like that. So while people around the world struggle for those things, while the world's richest man, Elon Musk, came in and cut USAID, which new report shows is going to lead to the deaths of millions, the preventable deaths of millions of people around the world. Right? While we have people like that throwing these lavish parties, people like Jeff Bezos throwing these lavish weddings, spending $50 million on a party, because let's just be very clear, a wedding is a party, right? And my wife and I when we were planning our wedding, referred to it as the party, right? It is a party. A wedding is a party. He spent $50 million on this party, right? While people around the world, people all over the place are struggling. People in Venice, where they hosted this debacle, are struggling, right? Are fighting against rising costs. The city itself is sinking. They're having huge infrastructure problems, right? Especially with rising sea levels and global warming. Venice is very much at the sort of pointy end of the spear of risk when it comes to reaping the negative results of climate change. All of those things, they're putting on this huge lavish party, spending money more money on this one day, on this one party, than most of us will ever see in our entire lifetime. If you added up all the money that passes through our world or our accounts in the course of our lifetime, most of us will never even scratch $50 million, and he blew it on a party, right? And the thing that comes to mind for me is when people ask, should billionaires exist, or is there such a thing as an ethical billionaire? My argument or my response to that is someone like Jeff Bezos, who spends to excess, who spends $50 million on a one-day party, whose yacht has a yacht, right? Who is that sort of excessive and out of touch with reality. That guy, without even putting a dent in his wealth, could house every U.S. veteran that's unhoused in the country, could solve hunger in the United States, could contribute to solving health crises around the world, could do a ton of good, and still live a very comfortable, lavish lifestyle, flying around on a private jet and sailing on his yacht, which has its own yacht, right? Like, all of those things could simultaneously be true. And yet every day, Jeff Bezos and people like him get up and they choose not to help. They choose not to put their tremendous wealth to work to solve problems for people who are less fortunate than them, right? They choose to do the wrong thing day after day after day. And so my response is there is no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And Jeff Bezos absolutely is not an ethical person or a good person. And so for all of those reasons combined, his $50 million wedding gets a giant 2 thumbs down from me.
You came out hot today, Tom. So big thumbs down to the nuptials, to the wedding, to Ren in Venice. You didn't like seeing the stars. You didn't like seeing the stars ride on boats or go through Venice or anything like that.
I'm all out of F's, right? Like I'll restrain myself slightly. But yeah, like I reached into the bag and it's empty. I'm all out. Right? I don't care about any of them riding on boats. I don't care. Like, what was Oprah doing there anyway? Like, Oprah's not friends with Jeff Bezos. Like, he invited people that he thought would be are sort of movers and shakers and draw attention, right? That was the guest list. And the people that showed up there only showed up, a lot of them, not because they were close personal friends of Jeff Bezos, but because it was the place to be seen, right? Again, the Hunger Games metaphor or analogy, right? They're in the Capitol, right? The Capitol is sort of like an amorphous, moving place. In this case, they were in Venice, but like they're in the Capitol having parties while people in their own country and all over the world suffer, suffer the results of the inequity that people like Jeff Bezos have worked so hard to create and maintain, right? And meanwhile, he's also cozying up to the president, trying to get public funding for Blue Origin and trying to steal contracts from Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. And I think Jeff Bezos is the second richest man in the world. So the 2 richest guys in the world are fighting over U.S. tax dollars, right? Like, that's what we're doing now. Like, are you kidding me? Unbelievable.
So it gets a double thumbs down, a 2 thumbs down today. Okay, I got to work to get you a thumbs up one of these. All right, we're going back. Not the smartest guys in the room. That was Tom Thumb. He come out blazing today. Audience and client experience. It matters. We care about all you, and thank you for being here. So what do you got, Billy? You want to talk about audience and client experience, or you want to talk about how cool Leonardo DiCaprio was when he got in those boats with covering his face? What do you got for us, Billy?
I just want to say, from a perspective of percentage to income, I bet you, Tom, spent way more percentage-wise of your income on your wedding than Jeff Bezos did. And so I think I think all the stuff, fighting over tax dollars, I think all that stuff, whatever. I mean, centers are for a reason, and it's not because they're nice, kind, gentle people who love other people, but they have worked hard to build things that the rest of us haven't. And I always think it's funny when people get beat up because they're wealthy, and it's like, well, you should do this, you should do that, you should do all this money. I'm like, all right. Well, what are you doing with a little bit of money that you have? It's like, are you showing up and giving 50% of your wealth away? Like, based on percentage wise, 0.02% is net worth on a wedding. So, on a scale perspective, it's like, whatever, dude. It's not that much money. Not really to him, based on his skill life, but based on your skill life. However, I would argue that you spent way more money percentage-wise than he did.
Well, Billy, you countering with the thumbs up on the wedding, Billy.
I'm saying if somebody, ourselves included on this page, go out, bust our ass in small business and work and build it to whatever size and whatever scale, and we want to go spend whatever money on whatever we want, then that is no one's business but our own. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Hey, fair man. Someday, Domi Poo right over here is going to sell for $1 billion, and I'm going to be the nicest billionaire around. So there you go. I'll tell you that. All right, audience and client experience. It matters. Jason, what's up, my friend? I got to tell you, my friend Jim Ajay down there, you just missed Tom Thumbs. It was what Tom thought about the nuptials between Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos, and surprisingly, he didn't give it a thumbs up. Jason, is this a real picture of you, or do you have like some kind of filter on it? It's a good-looking picture.
No, that's me.
A handsome devil. Okay, what do you got for us today?
Not much. I kind of am along the same lines of Billy, and I go with the philosophy: don't count the change in somebody else's pocket. I don't really worry about what Jeff Bezos does. I'm like, look at the program, look at the process. The man started so many years ago in building his company, and it never fails that something that a mentor taught me. And he's like, poor people bitch about what's in other people's possessions. And what it meant to me when he said that, he's like, when you start becoming wealthy, how are you going to react? Are you going to be charitable, or how much of a portion of is too much for you? You know what? It's not my job. It's not my place to complain about. I didn't watch the wedding, honestly. I mean, what I thought about was really Jeff Bezos's ex-wife that helped build the company. And the woman is extremely charitable, very intelligent. And, I'm like wondering, did you get out of what you needed to marry what you wanted? And what you wanted, was it really worth it? So again, and anyone
that's
can
deep, Jason. I gotta just cut in. I appreciate your deep thoughts on that. Go on.
The more that I'm distracted with things that don't matter, the more I get away from the things that matter. And I've been talking to Billy over the last few months and his progress and his shares, and I'm happy for him. And those are the people you need to pay attention to. The people that are like, hey man, I'm so happy for your progress. Like, to be honest with you, Dominick and Tom, I'm so happy for your guys' progress, not the smartest guys. I've been with you guys for 5 years, guest hosting and being a part of your movement, and I support. And sometimes I'm like, oh God, here comes Tom's thumbs. This is going to be a rodeo and a rough ride a little bit. But you know what? If you don't learn from the rough rides, you're never going to appreciate when you have the easy part. You're going to complain always about the hard part. So I appreciate about the rough and the smooth, and you guys are an incredible asset to have live on TikTok, live on YouTube, and other places, and your guys' movement I support. And I'm happy for all your success. I'd rather ride with people like that than, I don't care if a guy spent 50 million or 500 million on a wedding. It's not impacting my life. Thanks for giving me a blueprint of like what he wanted to do. So that's all I got to say, man. Thanks for having me on.
You're making me feel good about myself. Jason, thank you. And I got to say, Jason's a good dude. I hadn't heard from him for a while. He reached out to me just to check on me the other day. So this is the kind of friend I like to have. So thank you, Jason. Tom, what are your thoughts on all this? Well, you want to follow up on this, or you want to get back to client experience? What do you got?
No, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, I'm not trying to undercut someone's success, right? But I think there's a couple of things to bear in mind, right? Like, one, Jeff Bezos's wealth is not a direct result solely of his labor, right? So I think it's important to remember that you cannot become a billionaire by working really hard on your own, right? Like, you have to put in hard work, and no doubt that he did, right? To become as successful as he has, right? No doubt he put in hard work, but you also can't do it on your own. It's impossible, right? No one's labor is worth that, right? Period, end of story. No market would support it, right? I can't even imagine what the hourly rate would be for somebody to end up becoming a billionaire just off of their own labor, right? It's so I think it's a misnomer to believe that he got there solely by virtue of his own hard work. He got there by virtue of his hard work and by advantaging himself off of the hard work of lots of other people, right? So there's that to remember. He owes his success to lots of other people. That's part of the reason why there is an obligation to people who find that kind of success, or on people that find that kind of success, to pay that forward, right? To do something valuable for the world, for society, right? For the culture that they've benefited from, right? To do something to further that society or further that culture or improve it for other people, right? I think that is a moral and ethical obligation. And I think that Jeff Bezos and other people like him have fallen short of fulfilling that moral and ethical obligation, right? So you talk about, like, percentages of income. I saw somebody did the math. Basically, it was the equivalent of like Jeff Bezos spending $40 when compared to somebody who earns the median income in the United States, right? That's the equivalence. That just puts in perspective how extreme his wealth is and how little he does to contribute to the society and the culture and the country that enabled him to become that wealthy. Instead, he just continues to take, right? And that's my issue with it.
Hey, Tom,
I'm gonna hold on. Let me just finish my thought real quick. And my other argument would be that if you have any doubt that the interest is in purely profit or pure profitability and not off of customer or client or audience experience, try to reach a customer service representative at Amazon, right? Try to deal with a product or a tricky return or an issue that you have with something you got from Amazon. Try to. I'd love to hear your story. I promise you'll have a terrible time. You cannot get somebody on the phone. You cannot get somebody to respond to you directly. They'll basically say either return it or suck it up. And that's it. Like, those are your options. Either you return it or you suck it up and deal with it. Period. End of story. Otherwise, we don't want to hear it. We don't even have staff to deal with it. Right? So, like, it's not about customer experience. It's not about audience experience. It's all about sort of doing the bare minimum. And as a further example of that, if you guys remember, Amazon launched these employee-less grocery stores. If you guys were convenience stores a little while back, if you guys remember those, it was supposed to revolutionize the way we shop for groceries, and it was all AI driven, and you walk in, you take whatever you want off the shelves, you walk out, and they just automatically charge you for it. And it turned out that what they were really doing was hiring cheap labor in India to watch a bunch of cameras, and they were just bringing your stuff up for you as you checked out. So it was all appearances, it was all lies, it was all a facade, right? And it wasn't about actually creating a better sort of customer experience. It was about appearances, right? And so, like, again, I think that kind of demonstrates very clearly the ethics, right? It demonstrates very clearly what sort of driving motivation is, right? Is the appearance of success, the appearance of, technological breakthroughs, the appearance of doing good things, not actually doing any good things, right? So, like, whether or not you actually do anything good matters. And for my part, I agree. Like, you should give back. You should do whatever you can to benefit society around you. For myself, I've been involved in the volunteer fire service, and I was a volunteer EMT since I was 16 years old. So it's something that I've done for my entire adult life. I grew up around it. My father's been involved in it for over 50 years, right? I think it's important to give back, to volunteer, to donate if you can afford to donate, all of those things. I think all of us should contribute to the society we live in, should contribute to the culture, should contribute to our communities, and should work to help support others that are less fortunate than ourselves, right? So like, that's what I do, right? I'm not just sitting here opining. I actually do something about this, right? And I do donate when I can to causes that I believe in and support. So I'm practicing what I preach. I'm just saying, if I had 200 and something billion dollars and I could live incredibly comfortably in the lap of luxury for the rest of my life with $10 billion, what am I going to do with the other 200 and change, right? How am I going to make the world a better place? So that's what I think, Dom.
All right, you coming out hot. Not the smartest guys. We appreciate you.
I got a question for Tom.
Hey,
It's gonna put
hold
him in a
on, man.
roasting chair.
Hold on, man. What about Warren Buffett? Isn't he's eating ice cream? He's giving away 90%, 99% of his wealth. Isn't he a good dude? Or what about when Billy sells that company when he first makes that first billion? He hustled, and then he sold it for $1 billion. Why is he? So that's what I wonder about. Tom, Jason, what's your question, man? What do you got?
So you're not Jeff Bezos or any other wealthy man's position. You're in your lane and what you would do. But when you're put in those lanes and when you're put in that position, I mean, it's like, how much do you need to share? Right? How much do you really need to? How much is enough for your community and the globe and people? And how many people volunteer themselves to work for Amazon or any subsidiary of Amazon or a Jeff Bezos's companies? How many people do this willingly and they know this? So what duty does he really owe you? You volunteer that, and for that contribution, no one's self-made. But what these wealthy people have figured out, what I think to get to the question is, what do you understand about using the processes and teams to make your wealth happen? And how much do you need to pay back to that? That's my question.
Not really sure how to answer that. I mean, obviously they know how to take advantage of and leverage other people's labor to enrich themselves. I mean, like, that's what they've done successfully, right? So there's that. And then, like, honestly, at the end of the day, Jason, like, I'll make a promise right here to everybody that's listening. I'll put it out on the internet. We all know that once something goes out on the internet, it's there forever. It's permanent, right? Like, the internet is forever. So I'll make a promise right here. If I ever have the amount of wealth, if I ever become a billionaire, right, the amount of wealth that allows me to do so, I will make sure that no child in this country goes hungry. How about that, right? Like, I promise that I will do that, right? There's a number of other promises I could probably make. That's just the one that popped off the top of my head. But I promise I would make sure that no kid ever goes hungry in the country. How about that? I mean, I think that's a good place to start, right?
Nope. I'm not going to accept that. Sorry. How about 100 kids? You donate to 100 kids out there that are going unfed, because that's your promise is great and it sounds grandiose, just like a politician. But let's make it smaller and manageable for the wealth and the prosperity you've reached. How about you donate to 100 kids who are going hungry? How about
Jason,
that?
I've already said I donate. I've donated large portions of my life to support the community that I'm a part of. I've run to burning buildings and pulled people out of car accidents and helped save lives in my community. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I do kind of have the moral high ground here to criticize somebody like Jeff Bezos, right? So, like, I mean, that's fine, and you can like make a challenge. I do donate to support causes. I do donate to food banks and to people in need in my community. So, like, I mean, whatever, man. Like, at the end of the day, Here's what it comes down to. I'm criticizing somebody like Jeff Bezos, and I'm challenging his ethical and moral ground. And what I'm saying is, if I was ever in that position, I promise that I would do what he refuses to do every day when he gets up. That's it. That's what we're talking about here.
I've
So
got something to say.
Hold on, T-Rex.
Global.
What do we got? Hold on, T-Rex. You got 30 seconds. Make your point. Make it good. What do you got, buddy?
All right, let's go global. Let's make it really, really big, and let's not give a fuck about the older generation. Let's fuck the older generation by 50%. Here we talk.
All right, we're going on. We appreciate you being here, T-Rex. Your mic wasn't good. Neither was your swearing, man. We're live streaming this too. Okay, we move on. All right, Tom. It is that time of day. We are going to show and tell. I'm going to get you lighter. We're going to bring it down a notch. Well, set me up, Tom. Come on.
yeah, man, absolutely. All right, so it's everybody's second favorite time of the show. When Dom breaks out something interesting, something unique, something weird sometimes for show and tell. Sometimes something touching to give credit where credit's due. Sometimes it's something touching and nice. But yeah. So I'm curious to see what you got this week, Dom. What do you got to show and tell us about?
Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite things. I use them every day. So that's how much I like them. But I am not Jeff Bezos, so usually I spend $5 to $10 on them. But I lose them in the ocean. I lose them when I'm swimming. I lose them because they get banged up and I sit in places. My aviators. So I just had to see, if you look close, these ones are all bruised up. So it broke my heart the other day. I had to move from $5. Me and my daughter were out and I couldn't see out of my glasses. So I had to move from $5 and $10 to $36. I almost puked walking up to the counter. $36. That's three times my sunglass budget. But then when I got to the counter, they were only $24. So usually I wear a big hat like Tom has on. I cover my whole face. I hide from everybody, and I wear my reflective aviators. So Tom, my usually $5 to $10, this time $24 aviators that make me feel good. This is show and tell for today.
I have a question. Do you wear those when you're out riding too? Do you rock the aviators when you're on your bike, or is it just like when you're trying to hide from your adoring public and your fans at the beach or something like that?
I wear them when I ride my bike. I used to be on a swim team that swam out in the lake, and I used to wear them swimming in the lake because the sun was really reflecting and they'd fall off my face and stuff like that. So I wear them everywhere I can. And I don't want to have wrinkles. So I think I worked outside when I was young and for like into my early 20s, and I think I have more wrinkles than most people. So bigger sunglasses is helping my vanity by giving me less wrinkles later in life.
I mean, I don't really know what to say to the idea that you would go swimming with aviators on. I'm not really sure how to deal with that. I just want to mention, in case you're unaware, they do make swim goggles. So like they're purpose made. They make them in dark tints, even with mirrored finishes. I have a pair with mirror finishes that are great for when it's really sunny out and I'm swimming out in a lake or in open water. So just a thought, something maybe you should look into. Swim goggles are great for when you're in the water, and they don't fall off the same way your aviators would. Also, they keep water out of your eyes. So just all kinds of benefits from them.
I did move on to goggles after like they were really, I think, in my swim club that I was on, but they quit inviting me to, and maybe because I had these glasses on. I did move on to goggles in my pool, and now I'm even using the swim strokes that Tom taught me. So I do listen, and I'm swallowing less water these days. I'm feeling good about myself. Now, next thing, I will step up my game and take the aviators off and the goggles that I have and get myself some reflective ones. That's a good idea. I'm not that evolved. I can't spend more than $10 on them though, Tom. That would,
Well, I mean, yesterday, I think shows that you can, although not very happily, you can spend more than $10 on them. I would also say for your active pursuits, like so when you're on the bike and stuff like that, I would recommend looking into a company called Gooder. It's spelled Goodr, and they kind of launched as a company making sunglasses for running. So they're kind of the typical. I don't have a pair in front of me, but they're kind of the typical Ray-Ban shape, right? Sunglasses. They come in all kinds of different colors and styles or whatever, and they're $20 with polarized lenses, and they're great. They're great lightweight sunglasses, especially for when you're doing more active things. They're great for like when you're riding the bike and stuff. They're lightweight, they don't move around, and they actually make cycling glasses as well. So just something to think about. I don't think they make swim goggles, but just something to think about. Gooder's Goodr, another good company I like. They've got good customer service, and they have all kinds of fun designs to pick from.
Hey, that's good stuff. I want to say just one again. Thanks everybody for being here. But I got a message, so my friend Jimmy is down there. He sent a message. He said, "Jesus, what a show!" So one of the things we talked about the show was audience and client experience. Like I could sit here and talk about publishing books all day long. Tom could talk about media. He could talk about production, and we'd be like, "What the hell's what?" Things on the camera. What the hell we wouldn't know, So when we added segments like Tom Thumbs or a show and tell, it was part because we thought maybe you guys didn't want to hear us blab about publishing books or about production. So we added these segments, and today we talked about Bezos and his wedding, or we talked about Blue Origin before, or, the price of eggs or whatever. So we appreciate you sticking through. And those subjects, they might not always be the ones that they can get us hot in things like that. So we appreciate you. Tom, you got thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, I appreciate Jim being here. Jason, I just want to be clear. I know I was, I got a little bit heated there for a minute before answering your question, but I just want to be clear. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a part of the conversation. Definitely not my intention to kind of to be rude. It's just something that I'm very passionate about, obviously, and so I just want to be clear that that was my intention. But at the end of the day, I think what we've done, again, as Jason put out, like over the last 5 years, really, we've kind of been doing this in one form or another. I mean, it hasn't been called Not Smartest Guys in the Room for 5 years, but we started just hosting a clubhouse room during the pandemic, which was 5 years ago, which is hard to believe that it was 5 years ago, but it was 5 years ago that we started hosting a clubhouse room during the pandemic. Initially, Dom, it was you and another host who started it. And then I got invited in, and then the other host kind of bowed out, and it was just you and me. Here we are all these years later with folks like Jason, sticking with us. Eric, I know, has been coming by for a long time. Dave Campbell, Jolanta, of course, Dr. Tachi have all been coming by for years now. We very much appreciate you guys, and again, to your point, Dom, I think a lot of what we've done in terms of adding these sort of these repeating segments, these bits, if you will, that we do during the course of the show, Tom's Thumbs, and show and tell, and the wrap up that we always do at the end of the show, we're done really with the intention of improving the experience for the audience and making sure that every week when you come to Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, you feel like not only are you enjoying the conversation, or maybe learning something or bringing something to the table to contribute to help teach us something, but also that you are entertained, amused, and engaged by the content that we bring to you. So again, we, like anybody else who really cares about their audience, who cares about their customers, have worked to craft an experience. We've spent time outside of this space, Dom and I on calls talking about what we can do better. We were actually just before we started the live stream having a conversation about how we need to do that again so that we can continue moving forward with not the smartest guys in the room. So we thank you guys for being here always. We appreciate you. We love you. You guys are the reason why we do this every week. Without you, it would just be me and Dom, debating things back and forth and just being two knuckleheads chatting about stuff. So we appreciate you guys being here, being a part of this, making it possible. You are the reason why we do this every week. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So for Dom, I'm Tom. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. We're on summer hours, so no show next Wednesday. I'm going to be on vacation. We're back the Wednesday after that, which I believe is the 14th. No, 14th, 15th, 16th. July 16th, I think July 16th. I'm pretty sure. So we'll be back on July 16th. So we'll see you guys then, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on Clubhouse and streaming all over the internet. Not the smartest guys in the room. Until then, enjoy your summer. Have a fantastic July 4th holiday. We wish you and your family nothing but the best. And we hope to see you guys in a couple of weeks' time. We love you. We appreciate you. We thank you. Bye-bye.